Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where we take trade paperbacks and single issues and we break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then we read them dramatically back to you, allowing for the ultimate recap, which includes awesome music, funny voices, and occasionally sound effects. All alterations to the panel, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. And don't forget, if you actually enjoy these superheroes, consider running out to your local comic book store or to your digital retailer and picking them up yourself. Today's story is going to be Squirrel Girl beats up Marvel. Deep in the forest, there's a crisis about to be had. A train is about to run over a missing piece of railway. So what does a girl who has the proportional strength of a squirrel do to fix the broken railway? She becomes the railway, and she lets the train pass, of course, and continue to get run over a second time since the 4:38 express train is slightly early. A short while later at the university, Doreen asks Nancy if she missed anything in the lab, and Nancy tells her not really. The network couldn't handle her project and saturated it, so Doreen says that she wishes that she could have been there for the project. Like, put in a few more hours to help them out. But you know, Doreen is Squirrel Girl. She has quite a few other jobs to do. Like being a superhero? Luckily, all of her friends, including one named Thomas, are aware of this, and they don't mind helping her out. And from the bag on the chair next to them, Tippy shouts that she wasn't alone! Tippy's the little squirrel that teams up with Doreen on her missions. Ken says that he's sorry. He's glad that Team Squirrel Girl could handle their own. But while the four of them go about their lunch, Doreen's phone begins to ring, and when she answers it, she's told that Tony Stark is on the line. Doreen tells him, sure. If it was really Tony Stark, he would be able to prove it, so she's calling him out. Suddenly, through the cafeteria, all of the college students' phones begin playing the song singing, Tony Stark makes you feel like he's the cool exec with a heart of steel. Doreen tells Tony, all right, 1 second, and then she covers the phone telling everyone around her that Tony Stark is calling her like it isn't a big deal, yet it totally is! As she goes back to the phone, she says, yeah, sure, we can stop by. I'm sure we can iron out any problems. No, she will absolutely not apologize for that. See you soon. Doreen then jumps on the table telling everyone, quickly friends, to Stark and/or Avengers Tower. A little while later, over at Stark Tower, Doreen and the rest of her friends ride the elevator up as she tells everyone to just be cool. She'll introduce everyone. As the door dings and it opens, Doreen tells everyone that she would like them to meet Anthony Stark, aka Iron Man. She's not really sure what name to lead with. Tony smiles, and with stars in his eyes, he tells them all to please just call him Tony. Tony then tells everyone that he's glad that they can make it. There's something that he would like them all to look at. The door slides open, and Tony says, take a look at this cool thing that I made. Nancy looks at the capsule and asks, what exactly are they looking at? Tony explains that 11 weeks ago, the Avengers found the High Evolutionary. Big fight, super apocalyptic. Anyways, after trashing his base, we had taken out what tech wasn't destroyed and made this. Doreen asks, what does it do? And Tony says, honestly, I have no clue. He goes on to say that that's where she comes in. He needs some test subjects. Doreen stops him, asking if he's about to use technology that he doesn't understand on them, and assume that whatever this is was built properly and run human testing on it. Tony laughs, telling her, of course not. He's not a monster. He's gonna start with animal testing, specifically squirrels. Doreen again asks, what? Of course she won't let him test on squirrels. They may be online pals, but even IRL friends, she will not let him do that to squirrels. Tony tells Friday to make a note. Squirrel Girl is big into squirrels. He then turns to Ken and Tomas and says that he's pretty sure that they feel the same way about fish and chipmunks, huh? And together they tell him, yep. As Tony shakes Doreen's hand, he tells her no worries, he will figure out some inorganic method, but it was a pleasure to see her. Suddenly there's an explosion sending everyone to the ground and two men running and shouting, that's the man who liberated Master's technology! Let's liberate it back! Doreen pulls out her handy villain info cards, as written by Deadpool, and sees that these high evolutionary goons are nothing special. When she puts the card back, she says, alright, let's go nuts! While Doreen and the others handle some of the goons, Tony comes back in the Iron Man suit and tells one of them that he wants them to deliver a message, and then he blasts him. He then says, tell him I already took his ball and went home. It's my ball now. Ken points out that next time he might want to get his message across before blasting the enemy. Outside, the blasted goon shouts for the humanals to attack, and Tony says that he's pretty sure they got the message anyway. The ship hatch opens up and outrun the humanals. Doreen says that the whale one is so adorable. All of the humanals run out punching and kicking, but through the scuffle, Doreen is knocked into an unknown capsule. The door slams down and clicks shut, and then it begins to power up. As the light fills the room, Nancy runs up, beating on the door, shouting for them to open the door. Finally, it opens, and Nancy asks, what happened? Two Doreens jump out and one shouts that this is totally amazing, right? While punching one of the humanoids, Tony looks back and says, huh? That's what that does. And together the two Squirrel Girls fought and beat back all of the humanoids until there was no one left standing. Tony goes back to the machine stating that it's a perfect duplication chamber. Oh, what fun an inventor businessman superhero could have with this. Both Doreen shout stop. They don't want him running anyone else through the machine until they know exactly how it works. And he tells them fine. He won't use it on anything organic. And the girls shout no inorganics either, including his suit. He could crash the vibranium market. So he shouts, fine, let's just have no fun at all. Sounds great. And it was from that moment on that Squirrel Girl fought crime with her duplicate, and it was the greatest thing ever, for exactly 24 hours. While Squirrel Girl and her duplicate fight and shout, Tony begins to ask what exactly happened, and why are they destroying his very expensive penthouse suite? One of the girls shouts, Allene is what happened. And before Tony can ask, Nancy says that they decided to name the duplicate Doreen by her middle name Allene so that they could easily tell them apart, Allene and Doreen. But how can they tell them apart? Well, Doreen jumps on Allene's tail, stating that actually it's really quite simple. It all began when they were out on patrol with Spider-Man and he asked the very same question. The simple answer is that when Doreen fell into the machine, she landed on her left side, and afterwards, the clone appeared on the right side of the machine. But what started the whole problem is that when Doreen had drawn up plans to help make the world a better place with her clone by preemptively going out and stopping the world's crime before it happens instead of when it happens. So with the two of them, it kind of makes things a lot easier, and as the night fell, the five of them went out to stop crime. However, while working the streets, Doreen noticed a dead squirrel in the road. And it was that moment that Allene snapped and began shouting how they can't keep letting these things happen to squirrels. They need to focus on finding a way of preventing the killing of squirrels instead. And after that, Allene ran off and didn't come back home or even show up for school the next day. So after a quick search on social media, they noticed that everyone has been seeing squirrels paying for food and running off. Doreen was able to then pinpoint the locations of those posts to a single area. Doreen and Nancy went out to the location on the map, and that's when they found an abandoned factory. As Doreen walked in, Tippy says that she likes this location. It's a great place to hide nuts. And that's when Allene asks, who are they calling a nut? Doreen runs over hugging Allene, asking what she's been doing this whole time, and Allene flips the switch to turn on the light and says that she's actually been going over their most recent plan. She made some changes to it, and she would like to present it to them. The Squirrel Avengers Initiative NK2! She then points to the blackboards and explains that instead of using their squirrels to help people, they can stop doing that since they constantly have to help humans. So they can stop the loss of innocent squirrels by teaching people about them and getting rid of cars. Anyone who fights back on the movement is just being thrown into a volcano. Done. Allene then goes on to state that the squirrels don't stockpile nuclear bombs, they don't engineer diseases, and in fact, whenever the world is about to be destroyed, it's because of the humans and humanoid aliens. There's a guy literally named Apocalypse. Doreen says that she understands that the humans have problems, but this is all wrong. But they can fix her, alright? Allene walks off telling her that the world would be better if squirrels were in charge, and they have the power to make it happen. Doreen tries to say that while sure they love squirrels, they are simply not the dominating species. Allene pulls back the curtain that she was standing by, showing the factory mass-producing squirrels using the machine that Tony built, stating that she's simply not sure anymore. And now, back in the current time, Allene throws Doreen into the wall and destroys a pillar, causing the ceiling to collapse. As Allene escapes, Ken quickly grabs the falling debris, and Doreen tells Tony that that's how they got to this point, with them in his penthouse and him in his underwear. Tony tells her, perfect. Just perfect. As Tony gets up, he begins to put together the pieces of his Iron Man suit, and he says, thankfully, they have a bit of an advantage. Allene is only duplicating squirrels and not herself, so now they're gonna have to call in help from everyone else, like the actual Avengers. The next morning, Tony leads an assault on the factory that's mass-producing squirrels with the other Avengers, along with Doreen, to help stop her evil clone, Allene. After blasting a hole in the wall, Quicksilver runs through telling everyone that the place is completely empty. Jerky Squirrel Girl is gone with the machine. Tony says this is going to be a hard nut to crack, and then everyone stares at him and he asks, what? Everyone begins to try and figure out what to do next when Doreen tells everyone that she has an idea, and she presses the button on her earring. As she jumps into the air, electricity shoots through the floor, stunning everyone as she shouts that she can just booby trap the Avengers and take them down from within. Allene sits on a pipe and says that was a lot easier than she thought. With enough AC current, she can even stop Thor and Tony's suit. Tony tells Friday to go ahead and convert the electrical current to fuel the suit, and a few moments later, Tony blasts away at the pipe that Allene was on, and she gets down and asks, how does he think that he can handle Captain America's America's shield. After grabbing Sam Wilson's shield, she throws it, and it bounces off of Tony's suit. And he says, actually, him and Cap have fought several times before. We're currently working on our communication skills. Allene then grabs Hawkeye's arrows and starts to fire each one, asking, how about these sticky putty arrows then? And Tony asks, really? And then Allene starts throwing all of the knocked out Avengers at him. Inside of the suit, Friday says that they can't fire weapons because they're currently blocked by one or more Avengers. But before Tony can do anything, Allene jumps on Tony's suit, ripping off the helmet, and then punches him in the face. Allene then begins collecting all of the items from the Avengers except for Thor's hammer. It's just kind of too heavy. And then she tells all of the duplicated squirrels that it's time to begin phase 2. Meanwhile, deep in the woods of upstate New York, Doreen tells Nancy and the rest of them that if she knows Allene, which she does since she's her, she'll be hiding somewhere here. The group moves along and they see Allene sitting on a log and shouts, there she is! Ken runs up telling her that her plans are over, but as he touches her, the body slumps over and the squirrels begin to run out. Doreen looks down and says that it looks like Allene left them a note. She reads the note and it says that she's sorry that she had Natasha, the squirrel, lure them away, but soon she will be able to see a new world where the squirrels are ruling. By the time she even reads this, the Avengers will be out of the way. It was easy since they had the same number, huh? And she can probably figure out what's gonna happen next. Doreen says that Allene used her phone to pose as her and give the Avengers new instructions. Crap, crap, crap! Tomas then asks, what are they supposed to do next? And Doreen asks, what is the cause of thousands of power failures every year? More than anything else. Spoiler, it's squirrels. Right at that moment, all across the states, the squirrels begin to dismantle the power plants, causing a massive power outage. Everyone begins to pull out their phones to see no service, and Doreen says that they have no choice. With all of the heroes gone, it's up to them to stop Allene. Back in New York, Allene tells the squirrels that she has great news. No one can stop them, and she even has a giant Iron Man glove. So actually, that's 2 good things. And as for the knocked out heroes over there, she'll just go ahead and send them to the negative zone. Without power, the other heroes won't be able to generate the energy that it would take for them to get the Avengers out. She could still send people there though with this device. As lights begin to flash around the Avengers, all of them are then transported off to the negative zone. Allene then says that it's time to remove all of the other heroes and villains. And you know how? With Deadpool's trading cards that involve everyone's strength and weaknesses, of course. He was completely irresponsible for making these. And one by one, Allene begins to take out each of the world's heroes and villains, taking and collecting something from each of them, adding to her collection of weapons. After tossing Deadpool into the pile with the last of the remaining heroes, Allene says that will be enough. And then all of a sudden she hears "Choom choom" from the shield helicarrier. Phil shouts from the carrier that she's under arrest, and while flying the Green Goblin's hoverboard, she shouts, "Bring it, nerds!" Phil tells Nick that she just called them nerds, and Nick radios out that she may have taken down all of the heroes, but they still have a Hulk. Hulk jumps from the carrier, slamming Allene back to the ground, and she calls out for a Little Miss Cupcakes. Hulk then begins to hear something, and he sees a small squirrel being adorable. And as he plays with the squirrel, he slowly begins to revert back to Bruce Banner, and then Allene throws a pumpkin bomb at Bruce and begins to shout, "What else you got?" Back up in the carrier, Doreen nervously says, "I'm pretty impressed. Go me, huh?" Nick tells her that they really have no other option right now other than to send them in, with some standard issued shield rocket boots. So, the hatch below Doreen and the rest of them opens up and they all begin to fall out, and Phil tells them, "Go get them, tigers!" As they begin to make their way to the ground, Allene says that she was wondering when they would show up. Check out what she can do. She then rips a tree out of the ground and smacks them and throws said tree at them. With everyone pinned down, Allene sends the shield helicarrier to the negative zone and then walks over to the others. As she gets there, she sees the squirrels running out from the clothes, and Allene says, so that's what it feels like to be tricked by a decoy. Elsewhere, Doreen and everyone begin to run away trying to escape, but as they sit down, Doreen says that she's afraid Allene may have fully realized her name. She may have actually become unbeatable. Everyone sits quietly, and Doreen speaks up, stating that she has an idea though. They just need to lay low and round up any hero and villain that didn't happen to get picked up. So as a week goes by, Doreen gathers all 4 other heroes that have not been teleported to the negative zone. As Doreen's group stands before Allene, Tomas shouts that it's time to eat nuts and kick butts. The group begins to charge after Allene, but while her and Doreen struggle, she easily stops everyone else. Allene then asks, why did she bring a symbiote? They hate loud noises. And as everyone lays on the ground knocked out, Doreen makes one final attempt, jumping on Allene, pinning her to the ground. She manages to kick Doreen off and grabs Tippy, telling Doreen to walk away or Tippy's gonna get sent to the moon. Doreen says no, she wouldn't do that, and she runs back in, but as she tackles into Allene, a light shines and Doreen is gone. Tippy shouts, "What did you do?" And Allene says, "It was supposed to be a bluff, it was an accident." She goes on saying that there's nothing that they can do, and Tippy shouts, "That's not true! She's unbeatable!" Tippy then runs over, snatching up the teleporter, hopping onto the Iron Man glove, glove, and she rockets off. The glove shoots through New York and back to the abandoned factory where Thor left her hammer. And as Tippy shoots by, she presses the button. The hammer begins to glow and teleport, and the glove continues flying by and hits a wall, slamming Tippy into it. Up on the moon, the hammer appears in Doreen's hand, and then lightning begins to surround her. Back at the showdown location, Allene says that Doreen is gone, like really gone, and then a voice calls out to her. In a flash, all of the heroes teleported to the negative zone appear, and Doreen shouts, "Nuts to that!" Not necessarily in an orderly fashion. Each of the heroes take their turns beating up Allene. After Doreen punches Allene out, she says, "There! We finally did it! Now all that's left is to get Tippy." Speaking of which, where is she? Nancy tells her that Tippy went to the factory and, well, Doreen shouts for Doctor Strange to take them there now. And in a flash, everyone is teleported to the factory. And Doreen shouts that this can't be happening. Daredevil says that he's hardly picking up a heartbeat. There's nothing that they can do. And Doreen shouts that they can't give up on her. The reason Tippy didn't follow Allene and the others is because Tippy believed in humans. Squirrels and humans are better together, not apart. Doctor Strange says that Tippy has a broken neck and a cracked spine. There's nothing but through her tears. Doreen screams that she's in a room with the best heroes on the planet and no one can do anything. Shut up with that! A few days later, Tippy lays in the ER and she opens her eyes, and Doreen tells her that she's here for her. Tippy asks if they saved the world, and Doreen tells her no, you saved the world. Tippy coughs, stating that she didn't think that she would get hurt, and Doreen tells her it's alright, she just needs to relax. She has the Earth's mightiest doctors on the case. 3 weeks later, Tippy recovers and the Earth slowly goes back to normal, and Tony Stark puts up a billboard telling the world, "My bad, everyone!" But during that time, Doreen visited Allene while being incarcerated. As they visit, Allene says that she's sorry for everything that's happened. She just wanted a world where the squirrels could rule. But seeing how she rescued Tippy, she actually has an idea that they might all be able to agree on. A short while later, Nick Fury announces that on behalf of S.H.I.E.L.D., they remand the custody of the negative zone to the entity known as the duplicate Squirrel Girl and approximately 62,000 duplicated squirrels. There she can explore, map, and make safe this new frontier for human, inhuman, mutant, and squirrel kind. Allene tells Tippy that she's going to miss her, and Tippy says that she really enjoyed their time together when they weren't fighting. Doreen says that this is the last chance to back out, but Allene says that it will be fine. They both know that they hate long goodbyes, so you be good. Doreen quietly tells her, "You too," and in a flash, she is gone. While Doreen stands alone, she says that she really is unbeatable. And that concludes a fun little spin-off story of Squirrel Girl defeats the Avengers or the Marvel Universe, or I honestly don't remember the name of it off the top of my head right now, but she beats up everyone, and she actually does, and they actually gave a really good reason for it. It wasn't just some lame storyline in which the superhero suddenly had powers to do it. She actually was able to do it. It was fun. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think of Squirrel Girl down below, her getting her own TV show real soon, and let me know what you guys think of this storyline. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to keep up to date on all your favorite comic books recapped dramatically, and at any time, you can always follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm over there just hanging out.